Anthony Albanese wins a historic second term as Australia's Prime Minister, rejecting a Trump-style conservative comeback as voters choose stability over disruption. What does this mean for Australia's future? Amid rising costs, global tensions, and climate stakes? Anthony Albanese is set to return as Australia's Prime Minister after securing a historic second term in a sweeping federal election victory on May 3 RD, the first leader to do so in the last 2 decades. The Labour leader's win marks a striking comeback against the once resurgent Liberal National Coalition, powered in part by voter concerns over the growing influence of U.S. President Donald Trump on conservative politics. Echoing recent election losses for Canada's right-leaning parties, the backlash proved decisive in Australia. Peter Dutton, leader of the Conservative Liberal Party, not only conceded defeat but also lost his seat, echoing the fate of Canada's Conservatives and their leader supporters at Labour's election party in Sydney. Cheered and hugged each other as Albanese claimed victory and said his party would form a majority government.
In this time of global uncertainty, Australians have chosen optimism and determination. Australians have chosen to face global challenges the Australian way, looking after each other while building for the future. Australians have chosen the Australian Labor Party as their government. And our government will choose the Australian way because we are proud of who we are and all that we have built together in this country. We do not need to beg or borrow or copy from anywhere else. We do not seek our inspiration overseas. We find it right here in our values and in our people. And with pride and purpose, optimism and determination, with faith in the fair go and faith in each other, we return to the work of building Australia's future. Thank you all.
Albanese will start his second term with at least 87 seats in the 150-seat lower house. As per the election results, Dutton, whose Liberals have been leading in opinion polls as recently as February until he became dogged with comparisons to Trump, phoned Albanese to congratulate him. Dutton took full responsibility for the party's loss, as he said, they didn't do well enough during the election campaign.
Now, we didn't do well enough during this campaign. That much is obvious tonight, and I accept full responsibility for that. Earlier on, I called the Prime Minister to congratulate him on his success tonight. It's an historic occasion for the Labor Party, and we recognise that. I congratulated the Prime Minister and wished he and Jody and Nathan all the very best. And I said to the Prime Minister that his mum would be incredibly proud of his achievement tonight, and he should be very proud of what he's achieved.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said they look forward to deepening their bilateral relationships with Australia from Washington to Sydney. The Trump effect has crossed oceans, and this Australian election shows just how deep its ripples run. Adopting slogans like "Make Australia Great Again," some Liberal candidates leaned into a style of politics modeled on Donald Trump's hard-edged nationalist anti-IS establishment, but backfired. Analysts say Peter Dutton's aggressive policies, including a short-lived move to ban public servants from working from home, alienated moderate voters already wary of divisive rhetoric. At the April 28, 2025 debate, Peter Dutton, however, rejected comparisons to Donald Trump, citing John Howard as his mentor, while Anthony Albanese called him Trump-lite over his government efficiency plans. To interview distance yourself, do you think from Mr. Trump style, and I haven't sought to be anybody other than myself, and I believe very strongly that based on my experience working with John Howard very closely, he's been my political mentor, and I want to make sure we manage the economy as he did, that I want to keep our country safe. what a sensible leader would do. We still haven't seen a price control of what would be followed. So many of the policies of government efficiency. I mean, do you believe in that? Look, of course we agree in you. We don't agree with Trump. What we don't agree with, to be honest, as we're suggesting. However, following election results, senior liberals admitted it. The Trump factor hurt conservatives just as it had devastated right-wing parties in Canada and Europe. It was devastating in Canada for the conservatives. I think it has been a factor here. Just how big a factor will be determined in a few hours. Jacinta Nappy-Jumper-Price, a Liberal senator and shadow minister for Indigenous Australians, as per Reuters report, echoed Senator James Patterson, that if you sling enough mud, it will stick. You made it all about Trump for everyday Australians. Concerns about the cost of living instability came first, and many saw echoes of Trump's volatility, not solutions, in a Liberal campaign. Earlier, as counting got underway, Labor Treasurer Jim Chalmers said the government had been in all sorts of trouble at the end of 2024, but got back into the contest because of Albanese's strong campaign performance policies that address concerns about the cost of living and the Trump effect. After a hard-fought 2025 election, Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party returned to power. But major challenges lie ahead for many Australians. Cost of living pressures have been front and center. Labor has promised targeted relief, cheaper childcare, expanded rent assistance and subsidies to help ease soaring energy bills. Just days before the vote, on April 28th, Labor released its full election costings. The plan includes cutting $6.4 billion by reducing spending on consultants, contractors, and labor hire. Labor will responsibly manage the budget by focusing on delivering essential services, not handouts to consultants and contractors. On climate action, Labor is sticking to its ambitious targets, a commitment to 82% renewable energy by 2030, along with billions in new investments aimed at creating jobs and future-proofing the nation's infrastructure. After the failed voice referendum, Labor has pledged renewed engagement with Indigenous Australians. The government aims to bridge the gap with practical reforms in health, education, and economic opportunities. Labor's defense policy remains focused on regional security, while reaffirming its commitment to use a security pact. The government faces the challenge of keeping massive defense projects on track amid rising costs, in its election costings document. Labor said a re-elected Albanese Labor government will continue the work we have started in cleaning up the coalition's waste and mismanagement. The coalition racked up $20 billion in spending on consultants, contractors, and labor hire arrangements. With bold promises of fairness, savings, and efficiency, Albanese's government faces a difficult road ahead. The Australian people are waiting to see if these promises can be turned into lasting change.